Hi, good evening. It's the day of the time to read again. I am choosing my time today quite late. I think yesterday also I posted late, but I recorded quite early. And today I didn't dress in the office clothes because I wanted this word, you know. Expect nothing, appreciate everything. Yeah, you can see expect nothing, appreciate everything, because it's time for appreciation. I just got off a webinar, and I believe if you have been to have been attending a lot of virtual training or webinars, people are a lot of people are still hoping that the borders will open. But sadly for Malaysia or Malaysian, the numbers seems to be climbing. Yes, today just now I saw it was 3,000 something. So it's the new height, a height that uh, we don't want to achieve, but it's going that direction. And the only thing that Malaysian or anybody can do at the moment is just practice your own hygiene and your own SOP. If everybody been doing that as a mantra, when you wake up, you know what you're supposed to do, when you go out, what is the SOP, and you go to places where they are not having the right SOP, you just don't go in. Then this kind of practices become your habit, and those who are doing business, they will also be more vigilant and become more strict in their SOP. Then we can flatten the curve, because if you are waiting for the enforcement, you are eating into the country times, and also in the end, who are the losers? We are the losers. So anyway, this is just my thoughts before I start reading this book. Now we are on chapter 3. As I read, then I will also share some of my thoughts. Please bear in mind, it's my thoughts, and it's not in any way related to anyone else, unless you are feeling the same thing. As I was reading, you were thinking, you can jot that down and share with me, or you can jot it down just for your own, self-learning, I call it. I do reflections, but sometimes I'm also lazy. So I always say, oh, I must do reflection. So nowadays I carry a book, and also on my iPhone, I'm not promoting iPhone, but on my iPhone there's an app called Reflect. Okay, that also sometimes come out and prompt me, so I just drop a few lines. I have not transferred that into my reflection book, but I will do that, because every time I write down something, it will engrave some habits that I need to change, some habits that I need to keep, and some habits that I have to practice. You see, habits is something that you practice. It's not, oh, my habit is like that, I cannot change. It's whether I like it or I don't like it, that's all. Okay, so I've been talking way too long. Let's start on chapter 3, on Ultimate Energy by Tricia Woolfrey. I hope I pronounced her name right. Chapter 3 is on empowerment and growth. How setbacks can energize you and help you evolve. So don't take setback as something that is demotivating. It should be a motivation factor. Do you find yourself feeling despondent and de-energized if something goes wrong, or if someone gives you negative feedback? And do you feel energized and happy if you get positive feedback? Remember, we are human. So this type of thing happen constantly, even with coaches like me. I'm not sure about the rest of the coaches. Like me, I am quite new at this, but nowadays I know how to self-coach. So every time something like this happen, I have to within second turn my mind into asking effective questions which will bring me out of this. That's why you can see me smiling even in the pandemic time. We don't need a lot of things. We just need to keep this going, and then something will happen. good things will happen. I believe good thoughts come with good energy. Shell Rose Cavett is an international expert in the field of neuro-linguistic programming, and in her book Words That Change Minds, she introduces the concept of meta-programs. They are the way we perceive information and influence our behavior. One of the meta-programs is the internal or external concept. When it's internal, it's so difficult to change. Do you think you can change the external? Right? So these are some thoughts I want you to think about as I carry on reading. I'm reading from my bedroom because my daughter is occupying the downstairs for her class. She is taking her business economics from Groningen. So she's doing virtual. Okay, the concept number one, an internal person knows within themselves if they have done a good job. If they don't get feedback, they are okay because they still know how well they have done without it. These people are very confident of themselves. Confidence, not arrogance. Confidence is just confidence. Take it as it is. An external person has no internal reference and needs outside input to validate them or not. In the absence of any validation, most of them will assume that they have done a bad job and will often feel very low and demotivated. So you have put your success in somebody else's hands if you are having this type of concept. Remember, I am also human and I went through that, so I know what this means also. So how to change from an external person to an internal person? You might be asking, oh, you say so easy. Honestly, it's not easy. You have to break through your own barrier. You have to think of ways to do it. Okay, for me, coaching and self-coaching is the best way that I am doing this, and the result is tremendously satisfying, I will say that. So it will be good if you can look for a coach. Like I say again, I am here if you need to do virtual. So when it's virtually done, I can do it anywhere in the world. But there are two conditions. Number one, you have to be coachable. Number two, you have to be able to trust me. Okay, I will say that trust me is one of the most important entity. Of course, I have to prove trustable. Okay, trustworthy, not trustable. Okay. And I can conduct in Mandarin, Cantonese, Hokkien, Malay, and English. So if you are in any of these languages, welcome to contact me. The same is true on a personal level. Let's say that Anne is externally referenced. She has just had her hair done and is wearing a new outfit. She feels great. Her husband says nothing. Suddenly, her mood changes from good to low in the blink of an eye. She is likely to assume that her husband hates her hair and hates her outfit. It is a challenging meta program to run with. On the other hand, an external reference person will respond to feedback, but they will deflate in the absence of it. It's like a balloon without air. By contrast, an internally referenced person may be close to feedback. After all, they know just how things are. They don't need you to tell them. The downside, of course, is that they may not accept feedback that is valid, which is true because this is overconfidence already. They will be closing the door to growth in a completely different way, but their confidence will be high. The confidence of an external reference person will fluctuate according to the input they are receiving. Their locus of control is outside of them. And it's not a positive position to be in, because high confidence is the cousin to high energy. When your confidence drops, so does your energy. Now I got a point. So I must know how to control this kind of overconfidence. Yeah, makes sense. Let me put into my reflections, and I learned something new. Sometimes you know it, but you don't really realize it, right? Growth through challenges. Of course, we all love positive feedback. It's nice to have our ego massaged now and then. But something I have noticed over the years, both in myself and in my clients, is that the most important life lessons are not learned when things goes right, but when things goes wrong. By looking at the feedback differently as a gift of learning and development and growth, it can spur you into motivated action to improve and evolve. You have to give it a go and test this out. I will not say trying, because trying will take you forever. You have to test it out. You have to test yourself out. It's like Coach Sean. If you Google under YouTube, you will find Coach Sean, spelled as SEAN. He said many things that is valid. I find it valid because I'm also going through that processes, and we are, as a coach, a new coach, I'm open to many criticism, and also because of our culture of not really realizing the values of coaching. So it's a breakthrough every time I see the aha moment, and also it's a breakthrough when I see the coachee advance further. So I will keep on doing it, and then I aim to be a very good coach by the end of 2021, that can help to transform and also help people to realize their value in life is all in their hands and nobody else. Okay, so back to the reading. I am reminded of Steve, who had a fear of presenting. He was a new business salesperson for a technology company. This meant that he had to present to prospect and win contracts rather than take care of existing customers, which was a different skill set. He was actually fine presenting to new clients. He had a passion for the technology, and he liked to help people find the right solution for themselves. Like me, I like to do that too. The problem came when he had to present to the board of his own company. They already knew the technology, so he was not going to enthrall them with it. His issue was that without the "I'm here to help you" hat on, he had nothing to hide behind. The board wanted to know the numbers. Confident in front of clients, he felt exposed in front of his bosses, none of them who are particularly forthcoming with praises for his performance despite the result he was getting. These statements bring me to share the point when I was doing recruiting of coaches. It is very tough to recruit people you know, because culturally they think that when you know them and they think that they know you, so they feel that there's nothing you say can really bring them into a better position. Number one. Number two, or they have this fear that you know too much about them, you will judge them. Now, for those who are listening and those who are my friend, I'm not here to judge you, or vice versa. I am here as a coach to ensure that your journey is a wonderful journey, even if it only involves coaching you to take care of yourself, or coaching you to do something simple. You will not You will never, I will use the word never, look stupid in front of me. Stupid is one other word beside trying, which is not in my dictionary. I have stopped using these two words for many years. For my ex-employee, they will all know my reason, or might still remember my reason why I don't use these two words. So don't imply that I know you and I should judge you. So when you are in a coaching session with me, please rest assured that it is with full confidence that I notice you have something special to offer to yourself. Okay, so this phrase is very much associated to my life. So you see, as a coach, we still have to look into the issues before we can move on. Okay, and I'm glad I'm moving on, especially when I'm reading this book with you. It makes a lot more sense. I realized that his confidence was a consequence of the positive feedback from his prospects and resulting sales he achieved. There is nothing like a signed contract to let you know you did a good job. His lack of confidence was because he didn't get the feedback from his bosses. Usually bosses don't do any feedback or don't praise you. So if you are boss now, please do some nice things. Don't overdo it because you will feed their ego. But when they deserve a praise or when they deserve a pat in the back, yeah, be generous about it, do it. Okay? I just request, it's still up to you. The result was that his presentations were flat. He was presenting through a filter of am I doing this right? Do they like what I'm saying? When you communicate through such self-judgment, it is difficult to shine. It will almost certainly make your interaction hesitant and self-conscious, and is unlikely to inspire confidence in what you have to say. How could he use this to evolve? Take responsibility. Tricia said something that Sadhguru always said. Take responsibility, not responsibility only. The first step was to acknowledge that he was putting himself in this situation and he could get himself out of it. It is easy to blame others for how you feel, but actually we are responsible for our own feelings. It is how we interpret situation, what we choose to absorb, and what we choose to simply observe. Responsibility is a power to choose your response to any situation. Create a resourceful state. Then, prior to any meetings, he needed to get himself into a resourceful state. By this, I mean that instead of feeling vulnerable and disempowered, he needed to make sure he entered the meeting feeling strong, confident, calm, and resourceful, able to respond to the situation appropriately and intuitively. Sometimes I have problem pronunciation. My apology. This is easier said than done, but at the same time is easier than you think. If you remember an occasion you are dreading, let's say it was a meeting, doubtless your mental landscape beforehand was everything you were dreading about it. You may have imagined messing up an important point you wanted to make, or the disapproving look of someone you wanted to impress, or perhaps the disinterest of other people as they talk among themselves. Ignoring what you have to say, we have a tendency to have a mental rehearsal of how we expect things to go. If you're dreading something, you are setting yourself up for a challenging time, almost inviting the worst to happen. If on the other hand, you think of a time when you felt really good, confident, in control, and able to influence effectively, you are more likely to enter that meeting in a good position to get a positive outcome. Alternatively, think of something or someone that gives you a warm glow. Perhaps your partner, your dog, or a memory of a happy time. Everybody have happy time, no matter how tough life is. When you allow yourself to become absorbed into the positive event, what you see, what you hear, and what you feel, it becomes a more constructive filter through which you can experience what you were previously dreading. If you find that you rely on positive feedback to feel good about yourself, you are setting up for a very difficult life, since most people simply don't think to give you the positive strokes you need. Most people are simply absorbed in their own experience, oblivious to the effect this has on you. It's all about you, from you, and only you. Okay, so I have to ponder further on this also. I have to keep reminding myself, to be above the human risk a little bit, maybe 0.0001% better. This does not mean that they think ill of you. It is important to jump to negative conclusion. It is important not to jump to negative conclusions in the absence of positive feedback, but to evaluate your own performance in any given area. Then the subtitle for another one is create a positive outcome. The next Steve needed to do was to determine the outcome he wanted to achieve. Many people who suffer the negative effects of being externally referenced are also in the habit of thinking of what they don't want instead of what they do want. This has the effect of focusing you on the negative rather than the positive. Your actions are geared to what you focus on. Focus on the negative and you're likely to get a negative result. Focus on the positive and a good result is more probable because your actions are geared towards what you focus on. What don't want outcome could Steve have had? Perhaps it was to avoid coming across as incompetent or ineffective in front of my bosses. Can you see how the focuses on his incompetence and ineffectiveness? When you have the mental filter, it tends to taint your interaction in a negative way. Let's say he chose a positive outcome, such as to communicate my achievement of targets and healthy pipeline confidently. This is likely to elicit within Steve a much more constructive mindset, not burdened by doubt or fear, but bolstered by the very confidence his prospect enjoy. So it's just a twist of your sentence. How to say something positively will definitely helps you. It helps me a lot. So every time I think of something negative, which I will keep repeating if you listen to my taping, I will say negative things positively, and the impact on me in generating new ideas, of getting the energy of feeling happier is much more higher, and the probability also higher. So I hope even by this little simple thing, without going coaching, you are able to do it on your own. Then I must congratulate you. The 3-to-1 technique. I like to teach my client the 3-to-1 technique. This reinforce self-esteem and the good things you do while allowing you the luxury and joy of developing and evolving. Developing and evolving have to be a constant action. Here is how to do it. In any situation or challenge, think about 3 things you did well in that, and think of 1 thing you could do differently in hindsight. A lot of people struggle with finding 3 good things. That's no surprise because those same people are in the habit of finding fault with themselves. They have become blind to success, bypass achievements, and ignore results. Instead, they get the metaphorical magnifying glass out and find as much fault as possible, which leaves them feeling incompetent, unworthy, and drained. There is a reason that the ratio is 3 to 1. By emphasizing the positive, you are reinforcing what is good so that you do more of it. 3 positives to 1 constructive or negative if you prefer. This has the effect of neutralizing the tendency to be self-critical without ignoring what could be improved. You may have noticed the wording I use for the one bit what you would do differently in hindsight. The wording is purposely positive. So exactly as I said, and I'm practicing. There is no implied punishment. It is simply an observation of areas that could be done better next time so that you are constantly learning and growing. Hindsight is a good teacher, so this technique consciously calls upon its wisdom. Let's take an example to illustrate. Jennifer was anxious about asserting what he wanted to her friends and her boyfriend in particular. On one level, she didn't mind. She liked to make people happy. On the other hand, she never got to do what she wanted. Nobody knew because she never said anything. She adopted the 3 to 1 technique next time with her boyfriend, and when she wanted to go to the cinema and he wanted to go to the pub. This is how she asked him and how she evaluated her approach. So this one you can practice from here. How she asked in a verbally hesitant voice. Since we went to the pub last night, I'd like to go and see the new film at the cinema tonight. We can always go for a drink afterwards if you want. Is that okay with you? 3 good things. She spoke out of what she wanted. Number 2, she was respectful of what he wanted. Number 3, she found a compromise. One thing she would do differently. Next time she would find a firmer yet kind tone. These techniques help you to be more objective, to build on what is good so you repeat it next time, and to keep evolving. This is energizing. To fail to evolve is akin to taking your battery out and letting them wind down so that you become a shadow of your potentiality. So sad. Don't let that happen to you. This is not to say that you will never learn from what goes right, but there is a very strong likelihood that the most powerful opportunities for growth lie in the occasions when things don't go according to plan. Learning from setback. Too often, however, people learn negative lessons from negative experience. Let's take a couple of examples. Let me choose something good because she gave a few examples and then you might get confused. Okay, I just read the second example, which is Sarah's story. Sarah was a project manager for a building company. Her role was to allocate resources, roles, and responsibilities and ensure that projects were delivered on time and within budget. Increasingly, her job became reliant on technology. There were fewer meetings and more emails. The project management software kept her informed of anything outstanding. However, there were a lot of projects and a lot of tasks and people to keep her eye on. That was okay because she was a good multitasker. One of the projects was a new build of an office block. She thought everything was going to plan until the client called and asked where the delivery of washroom fittings has gone. Plumbers were ready, but they had nothing to work with. Taken off guard, she promised to come back to the client as soon as she had found out what had happened. It turned out that someone she had emailed to order the materials had not received her email, and so the order was not placed. Negative learning. Straight into victim mode. Sarah's negative learning was that she couldn't rely on technology and that things were easier when you had meetings and communicated directly with them. This left her feeling frustrated and resentful, two qualities that stifle energy. Positive learning. In a different frame of mind, Sarah might have concluded that it's always served to follow up emails and not to mark anything as done until it is confirmed. In this way, it would shown up as outstanding and she would have been able to resolve the problem before she had 3 builders waiting for a delivery that wasn't going to arrive. This approach would help her hone her project management skills, not leaving anything to chance. Because things happen despite our best effort, a good project manager will never trust that something is being done without double checking that everything is in order. You still have to do your job even you have the technology helping you. It is just making things easier. So if technology can overtake everything else, then why do they hire you? Think about it. So you just need to brush yourself and do a better quality job. Nothing to be sad about if you make a mistake, but remind yourself that this is the lesson learned, and next time I am sure you are much more not say able, you'll be having a higher qualification, a higher capability in this sense. Learning is energizing. Insight are energizing. Guilt and blame only serve to deplete your energy resources as you spend your limited reserve on covering your back or feeling bad. Out of challenge comes growth. I like to think that life happens for you rather than to you. Yeah, life happened for me, not to me. This moves you out of victim mode and into curious about what the silver lining is to each cloud. It may be as simple as developing a sense of humor to get you through the tough time. Life is too important to taken seriously by Oscar Wilde. She borrowed this quote. Whatever learning you take from any given situation, make sure it's empowering so that you can evolve to be the best version of yourself. The lovely poem below helps to illustrate the importance of evolving. I'm not a good poem reader yet, but this gives me a chance to train as one. So I will read it to you. Please forgive me. I will improve it the next I see another poem, okay? Autobiography in 5 short chapters. I walk down the street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I am lost. I am hopeless. It isn't my fault. It takes forever to find a way out. Oh, that one is not I, that is one. Sorry, because 5 short chapters. This is the first chapter. Because it's right I, so I thought it's I. No, that is the first chapter. The second chapter is I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe I'm in the same place, but it isn't my fault. It still takes a long time to get out. Chapter number 3. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. Sometimes I wonder why nobody go and repair the hole, or I go and repair the hole. I see it is there. I still fall in. It's a habit. My eyes are open. I know where I am. It is my fault. I get up immediately. That is taking responsibility. Number 4. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. That is solution. Number 5. I walk down another street. So you see, this is by Portia Nelson. There are so many solutions. We just need to look beyond that. At the end, there is something hugely empowering in seeing your own contribution to a problem and taking the positive learning from it. We always have choices there. Yeah, we can live a life of faultless victimhood, or we can live the life of empowered creator, constantly evolving and growing. This is the difference between problem-centered living and solution-centered living, between stagnation and progression. So I finish at chapter 3, and they have a time to reflect. I won't read to you. You can pause the video to see what they say about this. I hope you can see. Maybe you can expand it later on. Again, I will say, if you need this, you just email to me. I will answer to your email. Yeah. Okay. So till I see you again tomorrow on chapter 4, restorers and depleters. Chapter 4. Till then, stay safe, stay healthy, and always stay lovingly yourself. Take care.